Personally, my tax preparer sends me an organizer, a very detailed organizer, and I review that checklist twice. So when I'm putting everything together, he's telling me what I had from the previous year to prepare. And then when he sends me back to my tax return before it's filed, I go ahead and double check that whole organizer again, make sure I didn't miss anything, he didn't miss anything. And I know that I am not going to have to make any amendments to that return, which is a big goal of mine. Jen, how do you look at your checklist?
Well, I am not like most people, and I filed my taxes already. I filed them before they were even accepted in my state of Indiana this year. I filed them January 18th, I think, something like that. But I started looking at what my taxes were going to be back in October of last year, right? So in the beginning of the year, I kind of projected what I thought our income was going to be and adjusted my withholdings based on that. And then in October, I looked at it of, okay, this is about what we've had, and am I going to have enough withheld for this year so that I can make adjustments before the end of the year? Because I hate owing taxes. I don't like a big tax surprise. And I also don't want to give the government too much of my money ahead of time, right? I don't want to give them an interest-free loan throughout the year. So I'm very specific on withholdings throughout the year. So, and then I also look at, so I file my own taxes, if that wasn't already apparent. And so I will look at all of the documents that I had to gather last year and make sure that I have all of those. So I'm making my own list and I'm checking it twice, making sure I don't forget anything, right? And it's I'm very tax aware, right? I'm in this industry, so I'm very
Yeah.
aware of all of the things that are needed. But it's looking at anything that might have changed in our income situation this year. Were there any big purchases that we made that we could, we should deduct sales tax this year, right? There's a lot of different things you can just think through what happened last year as you're preparing for this year's taxes. Is there anything that has changed that might affect any of those categories that you just listed? Like you said, a good tax organizer is going to ask you a lot of those questions, but if you're doing them yourself, you may not have that available to you.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
absolutely need a checklist, and you absolutely need a system for tracking it so that you're not searching through piles of paperwork or sifting through emails at the last minute. So
Yeah.
if you are collecting everything through paper throughout the year, maybe you put together a digital system where you're scanning those in throughout the year. Maybe you're downloading your PDF of your 1099s when they're available and putting them in a folder, right? It's about being organized throughout the year so that it's not so stressful at tax time.
And I like what you said about not loaning the government money. I don't think it used to be such a big deal, but now that you can earn 4.5% in a high yield savings account, it is actually quite a big deal. You add up that interest that you lost or had foregone because you loaned your money to the government, right? Through deduction, through withholdings.